Welcome to the BBC, that's Backcountry Book Club, where I come to you live from the past with fireside field notes, druidic diaries, mythological musings, roadside recipes, etc. From the tailgate of the wonderful Bruiser, the Honda Element from 2006, who is black and blue, and she is my companion on this trip. I have been gifted this car for this 2 months and have converted it into a camper vehicle. Pretty exciting stuff. Who doesn't love van life? Who doesn't love all these mosquitoes? It is 4:34 p.m. in January. I am drinking Highlight, the Cigar City stalwart. And I'm in the Florida Keys. I'm from Florida. I've been here almost my whole life. Never been to the Keys. So this is my first time. This is actually my first archipelago altogether. Yeah. One of my favorite words, archipelago. Never been to one. But now I have. I actually drove yesterday all the way down to Key West. About like 120 miles or something like that. I don't know. Down US 1. Drove all the way to the mile 0 marker. Pretty cool to see. But parking at the mile 0 marker was like $34. So I just turned around and I drove back. And there's more to do here in Key Largo anyway. That's where I am now. Key Largo is Spanish for long key, even though there's also a long key. And then there's a cow key and a vaca key. So that's also the same. I'm pretty confused by all the naming for these, but that's neither here nor there. Today I have for you not a book, not even a fireside field note, but I just have some regular field notes for you. I am currently on a 2-month from now, I guess, a 2-month research period, researching southern perceptions of climate change events from the lovely Waffle House. Waffle House is a restaurant here in the southeast that is open ideally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Waffle House is a little diner. They have various breakfasts, and I will be going there pretty much every day for the next 2 months. I'm supposed to be working on my project right now, so I wanted to make a little update on the status of that project. I like to keep a diary, so I've been writing in here about how the project is going. But this morning I wrote a journal entry when I woke up in the parking lot of a Cracker Barrel about something different. I found my interest at the moment has strayed from Waffle House and disasters, because that is my research topic. I'm here in the southeast to research basically events like Hurricane Helene, all those the floods that they had in Texas last year, and how people in those areas perceive these events as either one-off events, or do they see them as part of a big string of greater climate catastrophe. I have some books that I've brought with me that I want to talk about in this format, out loud, for myself and for you, just for fun. That's hence Backcountry Book Club. I thought about that. I thought that would be a fun name, because I will also just be camping most of the time. So I'm going to be camping in this Honda Element, and I figured I would, from the back tailgate, bring you little book reviews, book discussion, and today, neither. I want to read something for you, so I'll read that now. And you can try and guess what it is. I feel like it should be pretty obvious. After listening to the American people... I'm just kidding, I'm not going to read it in that voice. After listening to the American people, I have been reminded, again, that all the legislation in the world can't fix what's wrong with America. I want to talk to you right now about a fundamental threat to American democracy. The threat is nearly invisible in ordinary ways. It is a crisis of confidence. It is a crisis that strikes at the very heart and soul and spirit of our national will. We can see this crisis in the growing doubt about the meaning of our own lives and in the loss of a unity of purpose for our nation. The erosion of our confidence in the future is threatening to destroy the social and the political fabric of America. We are at a turning point in our history. There are two paths to choose. One is a path I've warned about tonight, the path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest. Down that road lies a mistaken idea of freedom, the right to grasp for ourselves some advantage over others. The path would be one of constant conflict between narrow interests ending in chaos and immobility. It is a certain route to failure. All the traditions of our past, all the lessons of our heritage, all the promises of our future point to another path, the path of common purpose and the restoration of American values. That path leads to true freedom for our nation and ourselves. We can take the first steps down that path as we begin to solve our energy problem. Got it? Part 2. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Is it easier to go and buy things in the stores than it was 4 years ago? Is there more or less unemployment in the country than there was 4 years ago? Is America as respected in the world as it was? This country doesn't have to be in the shape that it is in. We do not have to go on sharing in scarcity, with the country getting worse off, with unemployment growing. All of this can be cured. All of this can be solved. Now that's 2 excerpts from 2 different speeches that I've grabbed for you there. One, obviously, from Jimmy Carter's Crisis of Confidence speech, given in 1976? No. 1979, I'm guessing. On the precipice of the 80s. The 80s are the era that really changed America into what it is now. So, basically, Jimmy Carter... I started thinking about this last night at Cracker Barrel. All the camper vans that I was parked next to, I was flanked by like a dozen camper vans because I couldn't find a campsite down here in the Keys that was free. So I went to Cracker Barrel, and there's something about camping under the stars that's just so romantic, so nice. You feel connected with nature and webs of life around you. And then there's something about sleeping under the light of a parking lot that just feels like you're sleeping in a car. And I looked at all the other cars, a dozen or so of people sleeping in their cars in the parking lot. Granted, it's Miami. This is the winter. This is all the snowbirds down in Florida for the cold weather, or down here for the hot weather. But I started thinking about how we've finally achieved Jimmy Carter's vision for this country, not the good one. We've gotten to where he said we would, fragmented, directionless, people searching for meaning in their jobs, in their life. People displaced from their homes and energy turned out to be the crux of everything, really. Like, he said it in 1979, responding to the oil crisis in the 70s. We have a lot of oil here in this country, so we better use that. We better use all our oil and then figure out another way. Otherwise, we're going to cause problems all over the world, going everywhere else, taking everyone else's resources. Not that we have to, obviously. But I also don't want to make this seem like I'm really like romanticizing the words of the presidents and that kind of thing. I've learned to not put much weight in what the presidents say, and as I'm sure a lot of you have. And in the vision of America that he puts out, I think it's romantic at best. It's naive of us, I think, to invest ourselves in that idea to some degree, because this country was built on exploitation. So the foundation is rotted. I don't really know where we're supposed to head from there, unless we are just a culture of termites. But anyway, I was sat at Cracker Barrel looking at all these camper vans and thinking about Ronald Reagan. I was listening to a podcast actually about neoliberalism and how the privatization of all these natural phenomena has ended up with us seeing the whole natural world as just a collection of assets to own. All of the industries that process those assets for the common good have been privatized, so all the money that's been paid by taxpayers for the last several decades, 5 decades, I guess, if you really think about it, has just gone into the pockets of millionaires who became billionaires. And now we're living in a neoliberal hell. And Ronald Reagan told us in the 80s, or in 1979, that why should we have to sacrifice anything? Why should we? We're Americans. Why do we have to sacrifice? I'm not going to make you do that. I'm not going to make you choose to consume less or to be thoughtful about your position in the world. I want to make your grocery prices go down, your gas prices go down. I mean, I don't even really think he was genuine about that, obviously. He was an actor. He was an actor. He was reading a script, people. But people believed him. I mean, it was one of the lowest turnout elections in history. People basically just voted for him so they didn't have to vote for Jimmy Carter, because he had done nobody wants a sensitive boy as president, I guess. You know, like, I always kind of had an affinity for him because I'm a sensitive boy. So I thought, okay, well, at least he told it like it was. But nobody wanted to hear how it was. People wanted solutions. They don't want to hear their problems read out to them. So they said, no, Reagan has, he's got answers. Okay, well, people believed him. And he put us on that second path that Jimmy Carter talked about. They led us down to this fragmentation that we are now. Meaninglessness. A crisis of confidence. And now we've reached, that point where people are living in scarcity. Everything's commodified. Even the things that should be human rights. Water, housing, healthcare. all privatized. All the resources are owned by somebody. And people realize that, God, I don't want to pay rent. Rent is getting too high. Electricity, it's going through the roof. Somehow, the culture has corrected for this. Our culture has become our coping mechanism. It became aspirational to live in your car. Now, I see that there's benefits to this too. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I like camping experience. I like the being on the road. But I can't help but think that there's some degree. I feel like, was this planted here to convince these yuppies, young professionals, making money? Because a lot of the people I see on the road in camper vans, they're not poor either. But they've decided to give up their material possessions to some degree. Again, these camper vans are tricked out, man. Got lazy boys in them, TVs, electricity, even little toilets. They said, wouldn't it be cool if you could condense your whole life into your car? Just live in your car. Reminds me of my girlfriend visiting the States recently for the first time. As I tried to explain Buc-ee's to her, and I said, I don't know why I'm boycotting Buc-ee's, but I am. Feels weird, feels wrong to me to go to some huge gas station that has everything. But that's basically what this country is. It's just a big gas station. But all the gas, as you know, is coming from other countries where we are no longer wanting to just use what we have. We're going to take it. We're going to take it from Venezuela. We're going to take it from Nigeria, from the Middle East. Back to the camper van thing. I watched a bunch of camper van conversion videos last night, and I just keep thinking, why is it so many videographers that are making these videos, There's so many on YouTube. I just think everybody's so skilled with video, so why is it all creatives that are living in their cars? Well, their skill sets are not any longer valued or appreciated. So you end up with artists, candle makers. I don't know what an apothecary is, but whatever an apothecary is, I saw that on the Instagram of some big bus. Wandering apothecary. Okay. Natural medicine? Is that what that is? I don't know. Natural medics, creatives like designers and videographers making a life in their cars because it's cheaper and they can see the world. I mean, that's the beauty of it, I guess, is you can really go see the freedom is real, but freedom from what? Freedom from having to pay for a house, having to pay utilities, all these things that were once just like a given of life, but now they've been so exploited and ratcheted up in price that now it's like I'm gonna sell it all off and live in my car. Anyway, van life is just the most odd romanticization of a manufactured scarcity that I can think of. It just feels like instead of heeding Jimmy Carter's warning years ago, we ignored it. And now we're there anyway, where he warned we would go. And people are making sacrifices of their own will, And ideology is just as important to the people in power as any tactics of authoritarian control. Happy birthday, Antonio Gramsci. Anyway, those are my thoughts for the day. Field notes, if you will. This is an evolving thing. I think I'll just try to do this from time to time. I thought it's always nicer to be somewhere nice where you process the world. And I feel like driving, for what it's worth, driving really is the best way to experience this country. And for my whole life so far, that's been my favorite way to anthropologize the United States. I think it's my favorite way of confronting and understanding the American life as you pass it on the highway. So I'm going to keep driving. Over the next 2 months, I'll be exploring the Southeast. Sorry for all this scratching and all there's so many mosquitoes here. And little tiny gnats and whatever these are. No-see-ums. So I'll keep updating you on this project. If you're in this situation, you're living in your car, you gotta romanticize it, at least, So I can get there. So not that yeah. All is good with me, but I hope all is good with you. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. As soon as I got here for my field work, I realized, oh boy, I've come at an odd time. Okay, short little thing. Thank you for joining. I'm going to try and bring you some little musings like this on the nature of our world, of our country. I wanted to study something here in the Southeast and in the U.S. so that I could have the excuse to come back to this country and observe and report on this country as an American who's had a bit of time abroad to gain some perspective. Well, I've been talking too long. I don't know how much it was actually recording, but again, thanks for joining, and be good and be wise. Cheers.